So I am finally back after a horrific sickness, and I have decided to make a new list. My favourite video games of 2011. This video will be very similar to my other video in my favourite games of 2010. However, since there were so many games that I've played this year, I have changed it from my top 10 to my top 20. But the same rules do apply. It has to be games that I have played after the last video was released, games that I have finished, and again, one per franchise. I also would like you guys to realize these are games that did not come out just this year. These are games that I have played this year. Anyway, let's get this list started. Let's begin.
Maybe.
Are you talking back to me? Huh? Huh?
Nice gun.
A game that is all about breathing life into a corrupted land. Nowadays, it doesn't seem like such a game exists, but this is where Akamiden steps in. This game is a sequel from one of the best games that came out on the PlayStation 2, Akami. Chibi Terusu, a son of a wolf goddess, was born with extraordinary powers. With a few splashes of ink from his celestial brush, Chibi can cut down trees or even summon the sun. The beauty of this game is its strong point. But any fans of the original Akami game on the PlayStation will love Akamiden. The only disappointing factor is that it doesn't emerge from its past successor.
Nice gun.
A flashy 2D fighter game with over-the-top characters, Blazblue Calamity Trigger was the first type of this sort of game that I have ever played, and it is amazing. I found this game rather difficult to grasp to begin with, but since this game does not center itself on its online play like a majority of other fighting games do, it was a lot of fun to take control of the large variety of offline mode gameplay that is available. From what I have heard, if you are a fan of the Guilty Gear series, you will enjoy Blazblue, probably just as much as I do.
Nice gun.
Let's take a trip down the rabbit hole which we all ventured down in our childhoods while watching Alice in Wonderland. Only this is not your ordinary Wonderland anymore. In fact, the take of Wonderland is more twisted and horrifying than anything. This is where Alice Madness takes its unique turn on our childhood memories. American McGee's Alice first game came out in 2000 and probably was underrated for its time. 11 years later, and the deformed Wonderland comes back in Alice Madness Returns, and not only with the great new sequel, but also comes with the original Alice game as a DLC for everyone else to enjoy who didn't get to play it back in the days. Alice Madness Returns is a great platformer adventure game with some of the most unique enemies I have seen in quite some time. With so much to explore and so many collectibles, this game makes sure you don't just go down a linear path and wants you to explore each area that is possible. With fantastic visuals, great music, and interesting combat, this game has lots of hours that will be enjoyed throughout.
Nice gun.
Back to the late 40s, post-war. We step into the shoes of Cole Phelps, a newfound detective moving his way up the ranks in this crime detective game. What awaits you is something completely different from what some people might have suspected. Maybe you are searching a butchered naked body for clues, interrogating husbands or wives, or even chasing down the suspects and villains to put them in custody. LA Noire brings something to a game that hasn't been brought ever. With the fantastic graphics and good use of the motion capture, this game actually makes you feel like you are the one trying to solve the crime at whatever cost. The only thing that bugged me with this game is during the interrogations, when you have got a wrong accusation, Phelps' reaction is a bit too extreme.
No. And then you stomped her. You stomped her because she's a drunken whore and she treated you like shit. You stomped her for all the years you had to take it. You stomped her because you are such a weak fucking sister, Jacob, and you wanted to erase all memory of it. Go on, try to deny it.
I was at home. I should have gone to her at the bar, but I didn't. You can't prove I wasn't home.
Looks like I made a mistake.
Nice gun.
Death Smiles is my first crazy Japanese shooter game, and I have never had so much fun trying to play this game. With such a colourful and intriguing setting, the game leaves a nice impression for any gamer who likes a challenge. The story isn't much, but that is fine. The side-scrolling shooting is where it's at for a player, where the game throws a swarm of gnarly creatures at you and enemies appear at all four corners of the screen, frequently making you change your firing direction to compensate. The game is definitely not for everybody, but if you are interested in just some fun, silly shooting and a huge challenge, this is something not to miss.
Nice gun.
A game that has been overlooked due to its very poor remake on the PlayStation back in the 90s, which was played with slowed down and long loading times. Square Enix done what some might have thought would be the impossible from the last remake, and perfected what would have to be one of the greatest strategy games on the PSP, giving Final Fantasy Tactics, The War of the Lion, a run for its money. Tactics Ogre does what some games dare not to do and allow the player to make the decisions which will impact on the game and the ending. But the great thing which adds more hours of gameplay is once you have reached your conclusion of the game, it makes it possible to revisit past decisions which impacted on your own personal ending, which in turn makes the story a very big factor of why people should give it a shot. The game requires patience, time, and a well thought out strategic plan in your head in order to succeed.
Nice gun.
With the same Pokemon formula we all loved in our childhood, Pokemon Black and White may seem like it hasn't emerged since then, but that is far from it. This is a fantastic DS game and personally my third favourite Pokemon series ever. Pokemon Black and White has changed visuals, new battle schemes, and of course, new Pokemon. The Pokemon do not look exactly the greatest, but the game compensates for that with some of the most wonderful and original gym settings, and I might be the only person who agrees with this, but Team Plasma seems to be the only evil team out there that has a real reason behind what they are trying to do, and also nearly succeeded in doing it. With the new features in the game, including the new tweaked online features, seasons being added in the game, and of course the new Pokemon to obtain, does make this new Pokemon entry feel like a new game with the formula we all fell in love with.
Nice gun.
Two years have passed since the events of Valkyrie Chronicles, but the small neutral nation of Galia is still caught between mighty opposing forces in the game's fantasy take on World War II. The story takes place at Landseal Academy, part high school and part boot camp, where the new recruits are taken to learn to become soldiers while still dealing with teen problems at any high school and taking classes. Valkyrie Chronicles 2 has such a beautiful atmosphere, fantastic and interesting cutscenes, and excellent combat. This game does take some time to learn properly, but once it has been learnt, the game just gets more interesting and challenging as the story progresses.
Nice gun.
"500 years is long enough for an entire world to change," which is what the woman known as Bayonetta discovers after awakening from her slumber in a tomb at the bottom of a lake. You take control of the gorgeous Bayonetta and kick, punch, and shoot your way through each stage, performing combos which are unleashed from Bayonetta's hair. That's right, Bayonetta's hair is not only her clothing, but her ultimate weapon too. Bayonetta pretty much shows how epic a game can be by just its bosses. They're huge, in other words. This game is an over-the-top action-adventure game which should be tried out by all players interested in this genre. Although the story doesn't take itself seriously, you'll have a lot of laughs throughout with its great dialogue, and maybe stress yourself out with its difficulty. Now that I am making you think about getting this game, allow me to leave you with some footage of the gorgeous Bayonetta dancing.
Nice gun.
Pure blood and gore with such an interesting artistic feel. This is the Dishwasher. You start the game by picking one of the two characters, the prisoner or the dishwasher, doing the same levels, defeating the same enemies. But the reason behind playing the campaign twice with the two different characters is seeing two sides of the story. That is not the only reason that will make you come back to this game. In fact, the fast-paced action is another. However, the Dishwasher Vampire Smiles is not for the light-hearted, as this game likes to screw with your mind and is a blood splatterfest for anyone to enjoy.
Nice gun.
There is so much I can say about this game, but all I can say is don't knock it off just because it's a rhythm game. This is an extremely odd game, in fact. You control Rhythm Heaven using nothing but the stylus, with only a few different moves to learn. You would think that this game would be repetitive because of that, but this is far from it, with over 30 different scenarios to play through, such as singing in a glee club or playing table tennis. The songs are extremely catchy and will leave you walking around singing it in your head constantly. The game actually can be difficult as well when you're trying to gain all the gold medals and perfecting each stage. This game will make you laugh throughout, not only because you feel kind of stupid playing it, but because you know that you're going to be having a lot of fun, and every single time you miss, instead of getting angry, you have a good laugh about it as well.
Nice gun.
A game that holds one of the most well-known titles, Might and Magic. But don't get me wrong, this game actually doesn't feel like a Might and Magic game, especially when you're on the battlefield. The campaign starts off like any other game, but when you're on the battlefield, it feels a lot more like Puzzle Quest. I played the demo first before I got this game, and I was extremely disappointed when it finished on me. I could not say no, even when it cost me 1200 Microsoft points when I bought it. Might and Magic Clash of Heroes is one of those just one more turn games that is nearly impossible to put down. Some of the battles will be tough and can be unfair at times too because of the surprises that await you, but don't let that get to you. With such charming graphics and great strategic role-playing style gameplay, it is a must-have for anybody fan of that genre. This game may feel a bit short, but don't take that for granted just because there's not much text and not much exploring. The gameplay is all in the battlefield, and there's at least 40 hours to enjoy.
Nice gun.
This is the third installment in the Mario & Luigi RPG franchise, and as I said in my last video, this series just keeps on getting better and better. The story in most Mario games boils down to three things. Princess Peach is in ransom, the Mushroom Kingdom residents are hopeless at damage control, and Luigi treads that fine line between hero and zero. Believe it or not, Nintendo have been reusing this formula throughout, but they always add a small twist to that tradition, and especially in the RPG series. We play both Mario, Luigi, and Bowser in this game, both trying to aim for one goal. Get Princess Peach out of Bowser's stomach and take down the villain Forful, whom was the evil sidekick in Mario & Luigi Superstar Saga. This is the first time we see Mario and Luigi actually helping Bowser out. Of course, this is without Bowser's knowledge, which makes it even more humorous. This game is fantastic and a must-have for any Mario fan. With a great story and awesome humor, this game will keep you laughing for hours with its over 20 hours of gameplay.
Nice gun.
Typical tower defense game. You are a human trapped inside a house while zombies are coming to eat your brains. So what is a way to save yourself? Plant plants to kill them. Yep, that's right. With over 50 different plants at your disposal and over 50 levels and stacked full of mini-games, this game happens to be one of the biggest time wasters ever. I have never had so much fun watching zombies die from a pea shooter shooting it. From first glance, this game seems a bit childish and not that good, but once you start playing it, you're gonna be hooked.
Nice gun.
Catherine is a rather unique video game. It has nothing to do with saving lives, saving the world, or becoming a hero. In this game, we play just a regular guy whom a lot of people could relate to. That guy is Vincent, a soft-spoken man so afraid of confrontation that he refuses to take control of events that change the course of his life. During the day, Vincent's attempts to make sense of his romantic entanglements lead to fear and desperation. At night, that desperation translates to cruel nightmares in which Vincent scrambles up an increasingly complex tale of emotions. At first glance, this seems like a normal RPG, but we couldn't be more wrong. This is actually a puzzle game with extreme difficulty. During the day, we take control of Vincent, talking to his friends and trying to understand what to do with his love situation between two girls. His long-term girlfriend who is hinting marriage and that she might be pregnant, Catherine with a K, and a perky blonde who is completely different from Catherine and is bubbly and full of life, Catherine with a C. During the night is when the puzzle begins and you have to reach the top before the tower completely collapses. Are you ready for a challenge of real-life situations? Bring it on. This was my most anticipated game of 2011.
Nice gun.
The longing question that a lot of people ponder on before they die. What will happen when we die? Well, although Ghost Trick Management Detective does not answer this question, it does allow you to play the afterlife of someone who has just died. Welcome to one amazing DS game. You take control of a soul who has no memory of his prior life and is desperate to uncover the truth behind his mysterious death. But what is worse, he has very limited time to find out what has happened. This investigation takes the form of a unique adventure game filled with terrific characters, compelling puzzles, and a massive plot which just keeps you guessing until the very end. Don't let the fact that the main character is dead mislead you. This lively adventure is a breath of fresh air. You've never played a game quite like Ghost Trick.
Nice gun.
The story begins by unveiling the Dark Hour, which is when a towering dungeon called Tartarus appears and released vile shadow monsters. You, being a high school student, must fight alongside friends to destroy the Shadow Menace, relying on the power of Persona, ancient beings that represents one's soul. Welcome to Persona 3, which first originated on the PS2, but I am not talking about the PlayStation 2 version here. I am talking about the PlayStation Portable version, which, in addition to the male character, a new female protagonist lead that implements 8 new friendship bonds called social links can be created to unleash a new side to this long story. If you are a fan of dungeon crawlers, come in on the fun of Persona 3 Portable. Trust me, you will not regret it.
Nice gun.
You have been chosen to take part in a deadly game along with 8 others. You must find a way through a series of rooms that offer no easy exit, or die trying. 999, 9 hours, 9 persons, 9 doors pulls you into this grim circumstance through its absorbing storytelling and through puzzles that engage your wits but rarely frustrate them. The terrifying dilemma the characters are forced to confront is not one most people would ever want to face. This game reminds me of Saw, one of my favorite horror movies of all time, and the villain Zero in 999 is like Jigsaw in Saw. With many twists and turns in the story and 6 different endings to encounter which link the story together, you will not put down this game at all, even though there is more reading than gameplay. I am not one for reading, but this one story sucked me in and will do the same to you as well.
Nice gun.
I must say, you don't have to be a fan of Naruto to actually enjoy this game, though you may have to be a fan of anime. I have never watched a Naruto episode, but after finishing this game, I sure did want to start. The tale you experience in the ultimate adventure is told with a great deal of dramatic flair, and it's clear that a lot of care went into doing the characters and events that all occurred during the Shippuden series. For a fighting game, the story is still very interesting, and the focus isn't always on the fighting when you also have to adventure through the different locations, watching cutscenes to unlock more of the story. The story is about the Shippuden series, but you've got to admit, they did a fantastic job when making this into a video game. Some anime video games flop, but this one sure didn't, and it is my all-time favorite fighting game.
Nice gun.
The game that is running for my favorite game of all time, Tales of Vesperia, a game that radiates beauty. But even if you were to overlook its pretty exterior, you'll find more beauty tucked away in almost every corner. Tales of Vesperia feels more like a movie than a game, but you'll be delighted to know that it's actually a long, entertaining journey filled with flashy combat and all the gameplay elements fans of the Tales series would expect. At first you'll feel a bit overwhelmed with so many new things you have to learn, but with time, you'll know everything there is to know, like the back of your hand. I have always been a lover of Japanese role-playing games, and this just strengthens my love of the genre. Tales of Vesperia not only has some of the most unique characters which you will fall in love with from the start, but as a huge world to explore with so many twists and turns in the plot. Once you have finished the game, you will want to start again to unlock more achievements, and also because you can do the new game plus. If you like any of the Tales games or into any JRPGs, you must try this game out. It will seriously not disappoint you. I know I've said you must try out any of these games, but this is the definite game that has to be tried out. I hope you guys enjoyed this list, and if you've got your top 20 or top 10 video games of 2011, I would love to hear them. I hope to hear from you guys soon.